to the track, the wall, makes the leap, and makes the catch! Amazing catch by Junior! He got it! A perfect game! 13 strikeouts. And Bonds hits one hard! It's a deep! It is out of here! 7:56! What a special moment for Barry Bonds! Swinging a long drive, deep to right, going, goodbye! He has done it! He has changed the game of the night with one swing of his bat!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Champions Adjust podcast.
We're back, baby!
We're back.
Woo!
This is an episode 37 of the podcast. I know it's been like a little over a month and a half, almost 2 months since you guys heard from us, but baseball season has been getting rolling. I was doing some traveling, but now we are back, hopefully with more consistent episodes, and we got a great subject to talk about this week. Coach Bodzin, what do you got, man?
We're back, baby! Woo!
We are back.
All
And
right.
for those that are brand new listeners to the podcast, this is the Champions Adjust podcast, sponsored by Champions Adjust, and we focus on mental health, mental performance, mental skills, youth baseball, some Major League Baseball, but we cover everything from short hops to bat flips to youth sports to everything that you can think of baseball related. That's what we love. That's what we're passionate about.
Could it be considered like a self-high five? This is Champions Adjust, sponsored by Champions Adjust.
That's right.
Self-high five.
Yeah, well, Champions
sponsor
Adjust
ourselves,
is a
motherfucker.
business.
You know,
We
the
sponsor the
efforts.
podcast. So that's what we do.
Love it.
And yeah, so this is episode 37. My name is Aaron Machbitz. This is Coach David Bodzin.
What up?
We are your hosts, and today we are going to break down the sports parents' do's and don'ts, because we are getting ready for our season. Our season is right around the corner. We've been practicing consistently. We've been doing inter squads and scrimmages. Our first official tournaments are a few weeks away. So we figured this would be a really great topic to discuss. Also, it's sort of, might be a little controversial topic because, we're not sports parents. You will be because you have a beautiful son. But
If he wants
I
to
am
play
not
sports.
a parent. But we did play sports for a really long time. We've been coaches now for a few years. So we sort of understand this dynamic and what we do and don't want from our parents, so we can have the best environment and culture for the kids that are trying to perform on the field. So we're probably going to go through this one by one and see what comes up throughout this sort of conversation. Your nuggets, my nuggets, and all the good stuff in between.
Also, we're back, baby.
We are back!
We're back.
That just reminds me of The Hangover Part 2 when they start singing that. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh man, this is a terrible
What's The
segment.
Hangover?
The movie!
Love the movie. Never, don't remember that scene.
Oh, man.
Yes, I remember that. It was great.
There we go. Thank
Continue.
you. Thank you. That's it. There's no other part of the
All right,
story.
cool.
You were just supposed to say, yes, I remember, and that was it.
Well, I just wanted you to explain it to me.
I don't have an explanation.
Okay, and then I remember
whatsoever.
it. For your sake, I remember it.
Okay, so should we go through the don'ts or the do's first? I think we should do the don'ts first so we can end on the positive do's.
Always start with negatives so we can end on positives, yes.
Great. Okay, pick your first one, and then you dive in, and then I'll piggyback off of you.
Let's just go down the list. Turn the car ride into a coffin.
So this is a don't. Sports parents
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
First
no,
one.
I agree. So avoid debriefing. Oh, excuse me, next to the brand new microphone.
Yes, please.
Aaron got brand new microphones. It looks like an alien spaceship. I love it. Avoid debriefing your child's performance on the car ride home. Allow them time to process and come to you when they're ready, which I love that. I know a lot of the parents that we work with do exactly that. Hey, if you want to talk about it, I'm here, but let's just enjoy it because this is still youth baseball. Let's have some fun. Versus what my dad did, which was, you suck today. Why am I spending money on lessons? Why are we doing this if you don't want to play? Why'd you suck so much? And I say this to the kids that are new to our program who are shocked sometimes that we don't yell when there's an error or a mistake during practice. And I asked one of them, I said, listen, do you feel like you get better when you get yelled at? Well, no. I said, exactly. So why would we yell to make you better? And it's same thing from a car ride into a coffin situation. Are you helping your child love the game more and enjoy themselves when you point out their failures versus allowing them to come to you when they're ready to talk about it?
Right. And also, we say all of these don'ts with the very, very deep understanding that every parent is doing the absolute best they can for their child. So just remember that statement as we try to speak about these don'ts.
Yes.
So first one is try not to turn the car ride into a coffin, right? Especially after what you perceive as not a good performance.
Right.
That kid, especially at 14, already knows. He knows everything that he didn't do well.
Yes.
Because he knows what his best baseball looks like. And he doesn't need to be drilled about it on the car ride home. He needs some space to debrief, to breathe, to relax, to think. And then, if you've built a beautiful, trusting, caring relationship with your child, which I hope you have, then he will come to you saying, this is what I think. This is what happened. This is what I think I want to work on this week. Can I please go back to my pitching coach? Can I get a session with Coach Aaron? Whatever the case may be right? That's what he's going to do.
Absolutely.
And so, based on what you just said, the second one is discuss athletic expenses. They have enough to focus on when it comes to their performance. Money costs should not be one of them.
I have your kids that we're catering to are 14 and under, generally speaking.
Right.
Generally speaking, as of right now, until maybe next year.
Yeah.
But especially at 14 and under, you shouldn't be, in my opinion, talking to them about, I work my ass off to pay for this, and if you're not doing well enough, I guess separate that. I don't have a problem saying I work my ass off to pay for this stuff and you don't care. That's okay. That's a whole different story to me. But talking to them about I work my ass off to pay for this and you don't play well, that's different, because playing well is such a relative term.
Right.
That did I play well today? Well, I enjoyed myself and I got better. That could be seen as playing well. I made 3 errors, but I hit 3 home runs. We talk about, we'll throw out Seth Timmons' name from last year, who made 20 errors in 1 inning to give up 85 runs, but then he got all of those runs back himself off base clearing doubles and triples.
3 of them in 1 game.
He had a pretty freaking great game. He just started off bad, but he finished so strong. It was so much fun. It was such an incredible experience. And so did he play well? Well, that's relative. He made 3 errors and it led to 5 runs or 6 runs. But he also hit 3 base clearing doubles that led to 9 runs being scored. So talking about athletic expenses specifically to I'm paying for this, so you better play better, that just puts so much unnecessary pressure on a human being, whether they be a kid, which they are right now,
right,
or just an adult in general. If somebody tells that to me, I put so much pressure on myself.
Yeah, it's just and then they're relating their value or their worth to this idea that only if they do well is the money you're spending worth it, right? When I don't do well, the $200 you spend on pitching lessons this week isn't worth it. But when I do well, it is worth it. So everything is wrapped up in their performance. And we already know that athletes' identity is wrapped up in the sport they're in. So we get foreclosed on that identity. And then when we bring in the sort of monies type of stuff, I only love you enough when I pay for this because you perform well for this, so then I can tell my friends that I have a kid who succeeds in sports. Now, not being able to afford the thing is a totally different idea. And you're grinding, working 3 jobs to pay for your son to have a couple lessons every month. Yes, you should absolutely have the conversation with your son. Is this really worth it, or should we be spending our money elsewhere? That's a different sort of conversation, which you alluded to. We only have this amount of funds. You have to be honest with your kid.
Sure, 100%.
We have to pay for rent. We have to pay for food. We have to pay for your schooling supplies. We have this allocated for some stuff because I worked an extra shift here, and here. Because I'm a single mother and I'm absolutely fucking grinding my ass off. Now, do you want to do it for piano lessons or do you want to do it for baseball lessons? That's just asking your kid what he likes.
Yes.
Not saying, if we do this, you have to be the best at it. So those things are different.
As a parent, you're choosing to spend that money. Right. So.
And so if you're choosing to spend that money, it shouldn't be fuck, I can't believe I spent that money, you went 0 for 4 today. Sure. Right? It's well, let's get back to the drawing board, it needs a little work. So,
yes.
All right. And it rolls right into what number 3 is.
Yeah, over-emphasizing success. So success should be part of the equation, but not all of it. And we talk about that all the time, is success is relative. And it's all, did I play well? Well, that's relative. Talk about what leads to the success instead. Yesterday, my conversation with my team was talking about the University of Chicago study of the 15 basketball players. It was actually closer to like 100 basketball players they did. But like I called it 15 basketball players. 5 are going to shoot 100 free throws. 5 are going to sit on the bench and envision themselves doing it. Mm-hmm. And then 5 are going to go home. And who got better? Well, of course, the ones who did it got the most out of it. But the ones who envisioned it got almost just as much out of it, right? Which is success. That leads to success. Were they doing it and be successful at doing it? No. Were they finding ways to lead them to success? Yes. So, to me, there's so much that goes into success. And so it's not a, hey, great job on hitting a home run. It's like, hey, that was a great way to see all of your hard work pay off. Right? Hey, you did a great job on the mound. All those hours you've been working with Coach Bodzin, has really been paying off. Good job.
Right, exactly. Like, hey, 2 weeks ago, you had trouble hitting the curveball, right? And we thought about that. Like, why are we having trouble hitting the curveball? We were not seeing it out of the hand well. We're not anticipating it. Now, 2 weeks later, you got 2 base hits on breaking balls. Or instead of striking out, you fouled a couple off and then put a ball in play. Like, that's leading to success. That's talking about the hard work you put in, day out. When initially the result was you weren't very good at it.
Sure.
Now you're, like we saw one of our guys pitch yesterday, you were talking about. Awful pitcher 3 weeks ago. Pretty capable yesterday.
Didn't go the way he wanted it to.
But he even said, he's like, I felt pretty good.
I'm almost there. Almost there.
That's a beautiful statement from a kid. Like,
yes.
I'm almost there. It's like saying what one of these dudes is. We'll get to it. But, like, that's really, really cool.
And that was so great because I've been working with this kid off and on since the fall. And it's just, he shut himself down. Didn't want to do this. Didn't want to do that. And then yesterday, he threw like 5 strikes and 30 pitches, I think.
But
like
he felt better.
But that's a lot better than he was 2 weeks ago. We're getting better.
Right.
We are getting better. I had a kid that we don't coach that I do pitching lessons with, and gosh, he what was it? 6 innings, 3 walks, 3 hits, 3 runs, and it's like 5 strikeouts. Pretty freaking good. Mm-hmm. It's pretty freaking good for a Sunday game, and it's better than he was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And that's where we're at, right?
Next one, Coach Bodzin. Catastrophize. Or that's me.
Yeah.
Catastrophize. Things are rarely always and never. This is also true for your athlete. Help yourself and your athlete to frame events in a proper context. This is important, right? Say your kid strikes out 4 times in one game, and now you're thinking about the car ride home, which relates to number 1, which is don't turn the car into a coffin. Now you're thinking 4 strikeouts in the game. You're like, you always do this. This always happens. No, your kid does not always strike out 4 times in a game. It's very rare.
Yes.
Very, very rare. But when it happens, it absolutely freaking sucks. It's the worst feeling I have ever had on a baseball field.
Yeah, it does.
Is to strike out 4 times in one game. Okay, I went like 0 for my first 21 as a freshman in college.
God,
literally did feel like I had no bat in my hand when I went to the plate. 0 bat.
That's so tough.
Like, and there's just not much anyone can say to you. You just have to keep
grinding,
like showing up and getting at bats. So if you catastrophize the situation by saying, "Oh, you always do this," or "You never swing at this pitch," it's just making everything a little bit worse. Instead of asking very small questions when the person is ready, when the athlete is ready, like, okay, like,
yes,
what can we do about this?
Yep. Love it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if he's like, I just need to boom, 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 or it was just a bad day, boom, great. Because there is such a thing as it was just a bad day. There's nothing else that needs to be done. You don't need to change your swing, your mechanics. It was just a bad day.
Yes. And going too hot or too cold is a good life lesson too. And I'm a good example for that. I used to be a very high and low person where I'm super excited and I'm really upset about something, right? And I'm all or nothing. And are we good?
Yeah.
There's no red, so.
It's green, baby.
Oh, it's green, baby. We're back, baby. And yeah, so just living kind of like in that middle of like, hey, let's stay even. You got anything else to add on that? Because I'm very excited about this next one.
Then go get it, baby.
Let's go get it. Overvalue stats. Don't overvalue stats, guys. It's gonna say. I'm always just reading these, right? There are many ways your athlete impacts the game. Oh my God, I say that all the time. Some of them show up in the stat sheet, and some of the most important ones never do. Now, basketball's figured this one out. They go plus and minus. When you're on the court, you might be 0, 0, 0, 0. but the team is better when you're on the court. We don't get that in baseball. We do now in sabermetrics, but we don't do that in youth baseball. Guys, I would rather a kid who is 0 for 10, but has hit 10 freaking rockets to center field, to left center field, and good plays, over a guy who's 10 for 10 with little dinky hits that just happen to get through. Right? Saying, oh, your stats are great means nothing. The stats I look at are quality at bats, first pitch strike, what you're doing after 2 strikes as a hitter, how many pitchers you're seeing, how many pitches you're throwing in an inning and in an at bat. Those are the stats I'm looking at, not how many strikeouts or how many walks or how many home runs have you hit or what's your batting average. Because hard hit balls are a thing, right? So, again, there are so many ways for your athlete to impact the game. For example, like we just talked about, Seth Timmons, great example. Didn't have his glove that day, but had a great bat. He impacted the game wonderfully. And that's a good day. Don't overvalue the stats. We are human beings. We are not numbers.
We're also, as baseball players and baseball coaches, we're looking at the feel of the game, who has good feel of the game, and who also brings energy. Energy is not a stat.
Correct.
Right? I don't go into perfect game and I don't write good energy, which absolutely should be a stat.
100%.
And things that coaches and recruiters look at. But if I'm a coach and I have a guy who's talkative, he communicates on the field, he brings high energy, he hustles, but he's like a little bit not as good as someone else, I am playing that guy.
Sure.
Because he elevates everyone else. He elevates everyone else, especially on the infield or like a premium position, right? Say he's in the second base. My pitchers walk 2 or 3 guys in a row. He's one pumping him back up.
Sure.
He's the one running over to him and be like, dude, it's all right. We got you back here.
Yes. Oh,
right?
man. Vinny
we
Weber.
want that. We need that. That's a lot of guys that we have.
Yeah.
And that is not a stat, but that is something that every single coach writes down.
The coaches
and
love
so
it.
if the guy from South Dakota State calls me and he's like, hey, how is Fred Jacobson from your team?
Have you gotten an okay from him to say his name?
No. I don't know. I'm just making this up. But when I do call the South Dakota State coach and he asks me about some of my guys,
Fred Jacobson.
You know, obviously I'm going to tell him about Fred Jacobson.
Sure.
And say, yes, he can field, throw, and catch, but he's gonna fit well in your squad.
Yes.
He's gonna bring a good energy.
He's a good dude.
He's gonna study. He's gonna get good grades. He's gonna come prepared for practice. Like he's gonna have these qualities that aren't written in his perfect game stats.
Yes.
And that is what we're talking about here. Okay. The last one is extremely important. Belittle their coach in front of them. Whether you like it or not, coach needs to be the expert for your athlete. Don't make your child choose between parent or coach. Yeah. I haven't run into this yet.
I did 2 weeks ago.
But we've seen it. We've seen it a lot. It's very important. It's very important.
Well, it's a good way to get your kid benched too, because you disrespect. There's a common saying. I'm not gonna say it's old. So there's a common saying in coaching is you don't ever want to cut a kid, but you can cut a parent, and kids can be the collateral damage of a parent getting cut. Your kid can get cut because of your actions.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because I've never had a big issue anyway with kids. Like they're kids. Like I love all these kids. Parents, for the most part, great. But as we even saw last week, sometimes there's a parent who just thinks they know better and just belittle you in front of everybody. And it's just, hey, dude,
Tough.
Like, come on, like this is not the way to go about it. And and you do this at the high school level, your high school coach is not going to allow that.
Yeah, and it's a really challenging position because usually the kid has nothing to do with it, and so you don't want to punish him for things he doesn't do. But the parent usually, this is not all circumstances, usually doesn't take accountability for their actions because what they think they're doing is the best thing for their kid.
Right.
But it's usually not. And so then no one wins. The coach is uncomfortable around the parent. The parent doesn't own up to the actions because what they think they're doing is right. And then ultimately the person who struggles and gets punished the most is the kid who doesn't get as much playing time because everything is just sort of messed up.
Sure.
And if everyone could come together and have a conversation about it as to why the parent feels this way, what can we do to solve it? What do they think the coach is not doing good at that he could do better at? Or does the parent think they know more? Maybe they do know more. Maybe they have a different background that we don't know anything about that we could come together and we can have a conversation about it. Or maybe the parent just needs to relax.
Relax.
And watch their child play
Go
and
sit
let
in right
things
field.
just happen.
Yeah.
Like, Just let him happen. Like,
Yes.
you can do whatever you want when he leaves the field. I would encourage to do some of these. Don't do some of these things that we just talked about. But after that, the coach is out of the coach's hands and it's in your hands, which you have the majority of the time with your child. But these are things that you can do to help your kid, not just in baseball, but how they should cultivate relationships and speak to people and communicate in tough situations and have not everything go their way, but how they can just keep showing up and maybe it will go their way and all of these things that they're going to learn. So those are some don'ts. There's more, but this is what we have on this list.
Yes.
And then we're going to go into the do's. There's 6 do's. These are amazing. These are very, very important and could literally change the relationship you have with your athlete.
Yes.
Outside of their sport. To make them love the sport even more, because nowadays, majority of kids are quitting youth sports by 10 or 11 years old. And that is something that is absolutely detrimental to our society. Because what are they doing instead of that? They're on the screens, they're not getting active, they're not getting outside, they're not making friends, they're not socializing, they're not learning how to use their body, they're not doing all of these things. It has nothing to do with getting good at your sport. It has everything to do with getting outside, being with people, moving your body, exploring relationships. And so if we as parents and coaches can do these things more often, then we're going to keep kids in youth sports until they're high school, until they're 14, until they're 15. And that's really what it's all about. And then at that point, they actually might get really good.
Sure.
And then it might be a lifelong pursuit like it is for you and I.
Yes.
So here we go. First one.
Emphasize the power of yet. Your athlete needs to know they won't be the best overnight. Michael Jordan would become Michael Jordan overnight. Babe Ruth, well, was probably the best at all times, but whatever. He's an exception to the rule. Tom Brady was not a success overnight. Greatness is a constant work in progress, so I can't figure this out yet. So, to that point, work ethic. What are you willing to do today for what's going to be tomorrow, the next day, and the next day? All the kids who do pitching lessons with me, I will stop seeing you if you're not doing the work in between. I can't fix you by myself. You're going to have to do the work with me. Mm-hmm. Emphasize the power of yet. We will get there. We just have to put the work in. Mm-hmm. And I also like the we. As a parent, as a coach, unit. It's always, hey, we will get there. Like, you're the one doing it, but I'm going to help do everything I can. So it's a we.
Yes, it's an individual type journey, but as the great sports psychologist Michael Gervais says, who anyone who's in sports should look him up. That's where I've taken all my certification courses from him. Sure. He worked for the Seattle Seahawks, and now he does individual stuff. Anyways.
Do I have one of his books? Maybe.
It's called Finding Your Best. Anyways, he says that, yes, it's an individual journey, but nobody does anything great alone, right? You need a collective system. You need support. You have to put in the work day by day, but there's people who are in your corner guiding you, pushing you, motivating you, telling you that you're on the right path. We love you. We care for you. Let's do this together. And it's all about, I'm not there yet. Okay, I may be on this team. I may be on JV as a sophomore. Okay, I'm not where I want to be yet. Everything is a yet because you can get there. It's just a matter of what you want to do about it. And this is an important quote to sort of think about. Like, everyone overestimates what they think they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they could potentially do in 5 years. So you have to expand out your window of how long you want to be able to reach your goal, and then you will be able to do it. So, number 2, ask open-ended questions. Give them room to express and explain what they think of their situation. Tell me your thoughts on practice. Tell me this. Like, not asking these damaging, direct questions. You're just saying, like, what did you think about that?
Yeah.
Like, did you have fun today? Did you enjoy yourself? What was good about practice? What did you learn? What went well? What can we improve on? Do you need my help? Like, how can I guide you?
Not, hey, did you have fun? Did you win? Did you do good? Did you well? Yes. I don't know why my son won't talk to me. Well,
you have to give him a chance to. So, yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much it for that one.
It's self-explanatory.
It's not much. Just ask open-ended questions, because if you do, your child or athlete will open up and have more to say, and you just listen.
Sure.
That's all you do. Listen. Anyways, next one. Yawns.
Yeah, I am now 2 weeks without caffeine.
He's doing great.
Starting tomorrow. Last time I had caffeine was 2 weeks ago today, and yeah, these days are long, man. With the 6-month-old crying in the middle of the night and me having zero coffee
Speak to
or
the microphone.
caffeine. I'm so sorry, guys. So yeah, I'm if you see me yawning, that's why. Okay, validate emotions. Yeah, so we're all competitive. Your athlete is competitive. And with your athlete being competitive comes a ton of emotion. A 14-year-old emotion, 13-year-old emotion, 12-year-old emotion is tough to deal with sometimes. Let them know their emotions are well, they're valued, they're valid, and they're expected. Some of the best advice I ever got in my life was it's okay to be okay, or it's okay to not be okay. Mm-hmm. It is okay to not be okay. You are valid with however you feel. You just struck out 4 times. Yeah, of course you're upset. Totally get it. Let's go get better now. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get out of the first inning pitching. I can imagine that wasn't fun. Right. I get it. What can we do to ensure that doesn't happen again?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's basically you're taking a 3-step approach here. Step 1 is validate, step 2 is appreciate, and step 3 is refer. Refer sort of means what can we do about it. So why is step 1 validate? Because you want to make sure that your athlete feels seen and heard. So they come up after the game, right? You saw that they struggled. So everyone in the whole world knows that they struggled, who's at the ballpark. But they get into the car, and you're just like letting it sort of sit a little bit. And then you feel comfortable enough to ask them an open-ended question.
Sure.
Like, tell me your thoughts about the game.
Yep.
And they explain. They're like, it didn't go well. I'm feeling really bad. I'm frustrated. I can't believe all. They're saying all the normal stuff that a 14-year-old who just had a complicated, hard game. And you just validate that.
Yes.
Simply by saying, yeah, I understand how hard that is. Like, not relating it to yourself, not telling a story about you or your child, just saying, I simply understand that was really, really hard for you. And then you're saying, and then after you validate, you appreciate the fact that they actually opened up to you.
Sure.
Because someone opening up to you is, like,
tough.
That's a gift. Mm-hmm. That's your son saying he's hurting, he's struggling, like he cares about this thing that he's doing.
Yep.
And so he's telling you that it was fucking hard for him. And you're just appreciating that. You're just saying, thank you for telling me. Like, I know you can come to me. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And now that you've done all that work, and now your son feels like he's in a safe place. You're not attacking him. You're not berating him. You're not talking about how much money you spent on him this week and why he performed so shit. You're just saying, I hear you. I love you. Thank you for telling me. Now, the last part is the most important part. What can we do now?
Yes.
Like, what can I do to help you? What do you need in this moment? Do you want to take a break? Do you want to do some lessons? Do you want to change it up? Do you want to just have a day off? Like, what can I do for you right now before we have practice on Wednesday or games next weekend? Because he's going to be giving you an honest answer at that point because you've made him feel like he's not a gigantic failure, which he already feels like because he played poorly.
Sure.
And so if we can cultivate all of that validation, appreciation, refer after the game, in the car ride home, or the next day, whatever the time frame is, you're going to get so much out of your person.
Yes.
And he's going to explain to you the things he needs, and all you have to do is listen.
Yep, absolutely. His question, based off what I said off the bat, did I just crack parenthood?
Huh?
Did I just crack parenthood?
You did.
I'm already a great dad. Cool.
6 months in, he's nailed it, folks.
Oh, man. All right.
Nailed it.
You're up.
Another do. Boast about their effort. This one is like the most important one to me. So let your children catch you talking about their efforts and hard work to others. It's a great way to highlight the positive behavior you love. So we are absolutely 100% of the time praising effort, not outcomes. Let me say that one more time. We are absolutely 100% of the time praising effort over outcomes. How does that work? Your kid, again, had a really bad day at the dish.
Yes.
Really bad. So what do you say to him? Oh man, I have nothing to say to him today. He didn't do anything good. Bullshit. Did he sprint out to his position every single inning for 7 straight innings? Fuck yeah, he did. Even though he had really bad at-bats, he's not feeling good, right? But he manned up, he took care of his business, and he still sprinted out to the field every single at-bat. Or he had a little dinker to the pitcher, but he sprinted down first base. Like, those are praising effort. Hey, dude, I know today was a really hard day for you, but I saw you sprint out to your position 7 straight innings, and I appreciate that effort. Like, that's
a positive in
That's
everything.
huge shit.
Yes.
That's a huge win.
Yes.
Because that is life.
Yes.
That is life. What if you have an awful day at work, and you come home, and you decide to yell at your child and your wife? Instead, you leave that at work, you come home, and you're beautiful, and you're in deep love. That's the same relationship.
Sure.
I had an awful at-bat, and I don't take my awful at bat into the field, but I sprint out to my position and I make
Flush
3
it.
freaking plays.
Flush it.
And I'm a gamer for my pitcher.
So what's
Like,
next?
that's
Brian
how you
K.
praise effort.
So what's next?
What? So what? What's next?
Yeah. I
That's-
have that book somewhere, man. Yeah, so what next pitch? Brian K.
So that's what we're doing. There's always a chance to praise effort over outcome. Now, it's a different situation if your kid struggled totally at outcomes and he was lazy. Then there's a whole other
Whole other
discussion we have to
conversation,
talk
yes.
about.
It happens.
But if your kid hears you talking about, yeah, my boy just hustles. He hustles down the line. He plays the game hard. You're not talking about, oh yeah, he went 3 for 4 yesterday. It was a good game. No, you're just saying he hustles, he works, he gives his best energy, and he loves the game. That's all we want to hear. That's all your kid wants to hear because that's how he relates to you in sort of a love sense. So if he knows that all you care about is that he gives 100% effort, then if he does that, all's good. But if all he hears is you talking about the outcomes of his performance and he goes 0 for 4, he doesn't think that you love him or that you might not love him or that he might not get food or that he might not have a place to sleep. Like, I know that's catastrophizing and thinking all these downstream effects, but that's what happens with young people when they wrap themselves in this performance. That's why extrapolating those things and removing your identity from how you perform to who you are is important, and it's based on how we praise people about their effort. Like, you got to see. Did you study as much as you can? I know physics is really, really hard for you. You don't understand it as much, but you put in the tutor, you put in the time, and you got a 75. That's fucking sick, man.
Yeah,
I was
great.
terrible at math. If
Yeah.
I got a B, I was fired up.
Yeah.
Because I did work with my sister, with my dad, with a tutor. They were all geniuses at math. I was like, this doesn't flow with me.
Sure.
But I can talk.
Sure.
I can read and memorize. I can understand. But I can't do math. But if I got a B, everyone was fired up because they knew that I put in the right effort.
Love it.
If I got a 0, I didn't do anything. It just didn't even show up.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not okay because I didn't even give myself a chance to get a B or a C.
Sure.
And so we're praising effort. We're boasting about their effort over and over and over and over and over again. All right.
Great.
Next one.
Highlight courage and bravery. Courage and bravery are 2 things that your athlete are going to need for the rest of their lives. My God. I mean, if you're listening to this as a parent and you feel like you've conquered courage and bravery, let's talk. Courage and bravery are hard to come by. It's the best way to turn any loss into a win and foster a growth mindset. It feels self-explanatory to me. Like, hey, you went out there and you tried.
Right.
You went out there and you tried. This wasn't easy for you. You've never pitched before. I'm proud of you for trying.
Right. This is basically the hero's journey.
Sure.
This is the hero's journey, and we all go on a hero's journey. Every single one of us. If we choose to go after the things that we love the most or want to do the most, it's the hero's journey. And what happens on a hero's journey? You've seen a good movie. Everyone's seen a Marvel movie.
Sure.
That's a hero's journey. What happens? The heroes get their asses whooped.
Yes.
They get freaking beat up.
Yep.
And at some point in the movie, you're always like Captain America might not win, dude.
Sure.
That's
Thanos,
what,
man. Thanos
that's
got
what
it.
life feels like. At
Yeah.
some points, you're like, I don't know if I can get back up.
Right.
But what does the hero do?
Gets back up.
Gets back up. That's courage and bravery.
Rocky Balboa, baby.
Rocky Balboa, courage and bravery. The hero's journey is about slaying the dragon. But the dragon is big, it's fierce, it breathes freaking fire, it's gonna burn you, you're gonna have scratches and scrapes and all these marks, but you keep getting back up. You keep getting back up because that's the hero's journey, courage and bravery.
What's the saying? It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you get hit and still get back up.
That's right. That's it. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole hero's journey. And you can talk about whatever journey you want in whatever domain you want as a parent. Mm-hmm. As a parent, you're going to get knocked down by your kid.
Sure. Yeah.
Like things are going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like saying as a kid, things are really hard for kids nowadays.
Yes.
Right? And so both of you are on the hero's journey together, simultaneously supporting each other and trying to just continue to get back up and show up and be courageous and be brave and trust each other and be vulnerable and show up and show up and show up and show up over and over and over again. That's the deal. That's all it is.
Beautiful.
Okay, last one. I got it.
I mean, I'll get it. I'll get it.
I love to watch you play and compete. Does your athlete know that you love watching them play and compete? This is the number one thing you can tell your athlete after competition. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. That is, in a nutshell, how you praise effort. Like, what does that statement say? Hey, Bodsy, I freaking love watching you compete.
Thanks, man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, your kid's going to be like, but I went 0 for 4 today.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
I love watching you show up.
You showed up and you did your best.
I love watching you compete. You didn't give up your at-bats. The pitcher just had good stuff today.
Sure. Ran into a good arm.
Whatever. Like, whatever the case may be is you're just saying, I love watching you play. Like, I don't care what you do. Like, I will show up at 8 o'clock in the morning to watch you play because I love seeing you out there doing something that you love. Like, it would be the same if you were in a chess club or you went to robotics club or you're, like, fishing. I don't know if you can, like, whatever. You get my point, right? I just love watching you do something that you love. Like, when I became a professional wrestler, did my mom love professional wrestling? No. But did she love watching me do the thing that I love to do? Heck yeah, she did. Was it scary for her to see me get put through a table and bleed from the back of my head? Yeah. But she was there because she was like, I just love watching you do something that makes you so happy.
Sure.
Like, she ultimately fell in love with baseball because she watched a million games from age 5 to 21.
Sure.
But with wrestling, it's just like an entertainment. She wasn't traveling the world with me. Like, it would have been kind of cool if she did. But anyways. But she was just like, no, I just love watching you do that.
That's awesome.
And it's the same thing. Like, whatever your son Mark decides to do, you'd be like, dude, fire me up.
Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Hey, whatever he wants to do, I'll be there and I'll support him and just want to see him compete.
But, like, after your kid does anything, like, I love watching you play.
Yes.
I love watching you compete. Like, thank you. That's
great.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, that's a very quick look at some sports parents' do's and don'ts. I think there's some really, really, really important nuggets of wisdom in there. If you are a parent and you listen to this whole episode and we said something that you didn't like, didn't mesh with, didn't agree with, please let us know. We don't know everything. We want to know more. We want to know how you think, how you interact with your child, how it works for you, what's going well, all of that stuff. And if we said some do's and don'ts that you would add or subtract or whatever the case may be, is like, if you listened, like, throw us some feedback.
Yes, please.
Please. And so, because I know some of the parents of the kids that we coach do listen.
Yes.
And we've gotten some feedback before, mostly positive feedback, which is awesome. But if there is
one negative, right? We've only gotten one negative.
I haven't seen it.
And it was anonymous.
Oh yeah, we've got anonymous, but that's like YouTube people.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
fair. Yeah, come say it to my face, bro.
Yeah, my other podcast, I've been getting buried recently. It's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because a lot of people are listening, so people are just gonna hate it.
Oh man,
It's awesome.
Congrats, you made it.
Thank you.
Heck yeah, dude.
Anyways, so yeah, if you have any sort of feedback,
if you're ever feeling down about that, you know what they do, right? What you need to do is just adjust, baby. You know why?
champions adjust.
That's right.
But we're back. We got I don't know when we're gonna do another episode.
Next week.
Season starting. But
Yep, next week.
We're gonna try to be on a roll like the Kelsey brothers. So
Yeah, we each have a team. I have a majors team. Aaron has a AAA team. We will continue talking about what we see. We do have some listeners who are not on our teams. We probably won't be talking about you as much because we don't see you play as much.
Yeah.
But we will continue doing that while covering some topics and looking forward to doing it.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Shout us some feedback. Follow us on social. Check out the merch on champsadjust.com. But most importantly, above all else, please remember that
Champions adjust, baby. Woo woo. We're back, baby. Woo!